Alright. We're on a roll here. We can't
Streamer
don't
on
stop
board,
us.
tell me a story.
I'll tell you a story, okay?
Is it appropriate?
Of course not. It's one of my stories. Would you like me to tell an appropriate story?
I'd like you to tell an appropriate story.
Once upon a time in Cashbird HQ, a goon was birthed. His name was Johnny the Goon. Now he wasn't the strongest goon or the brightest goon, and his beam did not shine as bright as the other goons. But Johnny had spirit and spunk. He wanted to be the best goon ever, and he inspired and dreamed every night and every day to be the top goon, to be the CFO's main goon. The one the CFO praised above all others and never wanted to be stopped. The one that had become the leader of Goonbot HQ. Da-da-da! Yes, Goonbot HQ, a secret thing that is in the works for years now, an underground facility where all the stopped goons go and are reborn anew as Goonbots, the most strong and powerful version of Cogs. Now, Jimmy the Goon wanted to be the strongest goon, to be the leader of Goonbot HQ, to be the Goon EO, the final boss of Goonbot HQ. So he decided he would go on a quest. He would disguise himself as a Toon, but not just any normal Toon. A Toon wearing one of those miner hats, because that is the only thing he could wear. But no one ever noticed that it was not a miner hat, it was a goon helmet. But sometimes when people jumped over his head and he fell down on his knees, they were questioning, but they were never too questioning because Jimmy was never found out. So one day he went into a building, wielding no gags because he's a goon, and a horse named Wingaboot asked him, "Why? Why do you have no gags, Jimmy the Goon?" He said, "Why are you soundless?" And Wingaboot instantly went sad from Jimmy the Goon's smart remarks, and Jimmy the Goon soloed the building, convincing the Cogs to let him pass. Now he progressed all the way to Cashbot HQ, where he got to meet his father, CFO, the one and only CFO. He whispered into the CFO's ear, "CFO is daddy," and the CFO knew what he meant. It was the goon that the CFO birthed long ago. He looked at Jimmy the Goon, pointed a rusty old finger, and said, "You were a mistake. The safe broke." And Jimmy the Goon began to cry oil. He ran far away, all the way to Lobot HQ, crying, hoping that just one gavel would come down, crush him, and end his sad, sad life. So, Jimmy the Goon cried and cried and cried. But then, he got a call on his goon phone. It was the CJ. The CJ said, "Hey baby, I hear your whispers outside. I know you're feeling sad." So, Jimmy the Goon smiled and said, "Yes, I'm feeling sad. I was a mistake. When the CFO conceived me, supposedly the safe broke and I was a mistake." The CJ said, "Well, there's no need to be sad about it. Why don't you come and visit me in Lobot HQ? Jimmy the Goon said, "What's up with your voice, man? You sound like you're high." And CJ said, "I'm sorry, my voice just cracked for a minute there. This is my actual voice. No one can run from the law of cracking voices." Jimmy the Goon agreed, because he remembered when he went through goon puberty, and he began to grow goonbic hair on his legs. So, Jimmy the Goon went in to talk with the CJ about a meeting. He said, "I inspire to be the leader of Goonbot HQ." So, he said, "I know what you can do. You have to defeat Flippy himself." So Jimmy the Goon disguised himself and snuck into Toontown Central. But there was something going on. All the Toons were gathered around a roped-off area where two Toons were standing on stage, a duck named Slappy and a Toon named Flippy. There was an election of some sorts going on, and it appeared that the duck named Slappy had just won. So, he decided he had to do something. He had to stop this election to prove himself as the top head goon. So, he called in his friend, Deborah, the yes man. Deborah said, "I'll be there soon. Don't worry, friend." They both hung up, and Jimmy the Goon waited, hiding behind the doodle shop. He decided that he needed to do something, so he snuck into the doodle shop because he saw the Toons were rebelling against the death of their former president, Slappy. The Toons were grabbing pies and throwing them around at other cogs coming from the sky. Jimmy was not supposed to be here at this time, so he snuck into the doodle shop. There, he saw a lonely little toon named Barbara Seville, and she was hiding two things, a female and a male doodle, the last of their kind. Jimmy knew what he must do. He turned on his beam, and he shone it right in the doodles' faces, killing both the doodles instantly. Doodles will never be released into TTR, he laughed. Jimmy the Goon was the real reason doodles have not been released into TTR, and the reason they will never be released into TTR, but that is beside the point. So, Jimmy the Goon smiled his devious smile, and Barbara Seville cried on the ground, screaming, "Why, Jimmy the Goon? Why have you forsaken us?" But he had a mission to do. He had to defeat Flippy. So, he snuck after Doomsday was over, and looked Flippy right in the eye. And he said, "My name is Jimmy the Goon, and I aspire to be the best goon in town. I want to defeat you so that I can show my dominance over Toons and become the leader of Goonbot HQ." Flippy shook his head and said, young child, Goonbot HQ, it is a myth. It is a lie told to young goons so they behave. It's like Toon-to-Claws, but for goons." Jimmy was shocked. He just felt like he needed to cry because his dreams were just crushed by this light blue dog. But Flippy did not defeat Jimmy the Goon. No. He crawled over his desk and wrapped a warm, loving Toon arm around Jimmy the Goon's head and said, "Jimmy the Goon, there's no need to fret. I know you're a good goon. Not all goons are evil. You can work for us. You can be the head of Toonkind. You can be a leader." Jimmy the Goon smiled, lifted his head, and looked right into Flippy's eyes. But he forgot his beam was on, so Flippy lost 12 laugh points, and Flippy slapped Jimmy the Goon and said, "No, you're not allowed to use that thing." And Jimmy the Goon said, "Sorry, Daddy." And Flippy said, "It's okay, but don't call me Daddy anymore. That's Miss Flippy's job." So, Jimmy the Goon said, "What do you want me to do with my life? How can I be a successor to your excellency?" And he said, "You need to find the name... Yes, man. You need to find the yes man that murdered my friend Slappy." Jimmy the Goon looked at Flippy and said, "Yes man? But it was... Yes, it was a yes man. It wasn't a name dropper. Why do you keep thinking it's a name dropper, Flippy?" And Flippy said, "I don't know why I think it's a name dropper. But that's not important at all. You need to find the yes man who murdered Slappy. He's wanted. The reward for finding him will be 1,000,000 jelly beans." 1,000,000 jelly beans? He realized if he could do that, he could gain a Toon rewrite, meaning he could actually turn himself into a Toon, the brightest Toon in the Toontown community. So that is what he decided to do. He decided he had to hunt down his friend, Deborah, the Yes-Man. So he got into his goon car and started to drive off far into the distance. He knew where he had to go, to BossBot HQ. He arrived at the gate of BossBot HQ and yelled, "Deborah the Yes-Man, come out! We have to talk immediately!" But there was no answer. On a screen high above, the CEO's bellowing face looked down at him. Weak goon. I know you are in alliance with Flippy, and my wife, Deborah the Yes-Man, was totally not going to fall for your trick. Jimmy the Goon questioned and said, "But you're a man, CEO. Why are you married to a yes man?" The CEO blushed and said, "That is none of your business," and ended the conference. He knew what he needed to do. He needed to team up with his Toon allies to defeat the CEO. So he called a few friends he met on his journey. Goddess, why am I getting a fucking Skype call? Why am I getting a Skype call from Taya? Okay, she's saying the power's out, but that's not the point. I gotta ignore this call because literally importance of telling a story right now. Okay, so he called upon his friends Leroy, Winged Boot, Emerald Dream, Boom Dooby Doom, Goddess, and Yellow Cat.
But there's only 4 people.
But he had 3 more friends to call on.
What the hell?
Uncanny Valley, Goddess, and Country Mouse, because Country Mouse
That's
was
just
cool.
5 people now. You're not making it any better.
Okay, let me count the tunes he called. again. Leroy, Wing Boot, Uncanny Valley, Boom Dooby Doom, Goddess, Emerald Dream, and Country Mouse.
That's 4
Those
people.
Those are the 7 people. No, I counted on my fingers, you dunce.
No, that's
Now.
4 physical people. I'm not talking about the tunes.
Oh my god, fine. If you gotta make it so physical. He called on fucking Jerry. He called on you. He called on me. He called on Taya. He called on the black man across the street. He called on Cunt Mouth. And he called on medics. Because those 7 people wanted to beat the living shit out of a CEO, okay?
That was 6,
okay.
actually.
Can you just shut the holy fuck up? Okay, so him and his 6 friends went into the CEO because their 8th friend, Michael, decided to be a little cock tease and not freaking come to the CEO because he had to be a douche nozzle. No, all 7 of them went into the CEO together, riding the elevator, riding it up to the rooftop. They skipped the first phases because Jimmy knew how to hack. So, Jimmy stood in front of the CEO and said, I demand to defeat the Deborah the Yes Man, because Deborah needs to go down. Jimmy the Goon put on one single sunglass because goons only have one eye, because that's what life they're about. And Deborah the Yes Man came down from the sky and said, Jimmy, I loved you this whole time. Please forgive me. Jimmy decided to give her a hug, but he decided to strap a TNT to himself. So he gave Deborah the Yes Man a hug, and they both exploded into the Toon Rebellion and avenging Slappy. The end.
But Slappy was never murdered. He was taken. And the Yes Man was destroyed.
The Yes Man wasn't thoroughly destroyed. It was revived through black fucking magic. The CEO works black magic, okay?
So, we went into a CEO
Yes.
with a goon.
Named Jimmy.
Okay, well that happened. Let's do a VP, and Taya wants...
Please make that a highlight.
I am planning to. That was funny. Alright,